Hello everybody, this is DeanoGTO, and today we're looking at the Tiger 1. So the Tiger 1 is a vehicle I recently just bought back. It's a tank I actually kind of always liked, but one part of it always kind of annoyed me. And that is how fragile this vehicle actually is. It's not very good at taking hits from anything above, I would say, tier 6. Like, a lot of tier 6 heavy tanks will go through the Tiger 1's armor as if it's butter. Like, it's not very good at absorbing hits from heavy tanks, but medium tanks at tier 6 and tier 5 and tier 5 heavies and stuff like that, it can bounce shots from those, but anything above tier 6 heavies, expect them to penetrate you pretty reliably, because, well, you don't really have that much armor to work with, if I'm 100% honest. Like, I'll just get through the armor profile just here quickly for you. So it has 100 front armor all over the front. So this little area here, I believe, is like a slightly thinner area. It is like, I believe it's a slightly thinner area. I think it's like an overmatch zone. But the actual front plates, this area here is 100 millimeters. This area here is 100 millimeters. This area here may actually be a little tiny bit thicker. I think it might be 115. Because it has the track armor on it. I can't remember if that was at the point in time when they started doing that. But yeah, most people are going to shoot this section here because it has probably about maybe 2 degrees of angling on it. It's close to no angling whatsoever on this tank when it comes to just the armor in general. Like, the most angled part of this tank is probably the back of the turret. Otherwise, this thing, it's just a box. It's just a box on tracks, pretty much. But yeah, it's not very good at taking hits. And I actually forgot to go over the side armor. So the side armor is actually 80 millimeters up here. And I specifically say up here because below this section here, the area behind the tracks is 60 millimeters. So this section here, while it won't be overmatched, it's still pretty damn thin. Pretty damn thin. Which basically means you're going to be able to penetrate this thing semi-reliably whenever it's angled kind of like this, where this area up here will probably be an auto bounce. Actually, I would say probably about here would be an auto bounce. This area down here would not be. It'd be considerably easier to penetrate, even though you have to go through the tracks. This area here is still pretty freaking weak. So yeah, that's the armor profile pretty much summed up. It does have one of the troll German cupolas, which has got like the wee spaced armor little areas on top of it, and like the rounding, the sloping stuff, as well as a pretty decent turret front. If you miss the mantlet, you're going to penetrate, but if you hit the mantlet, you're probably going to bounce. That's pretty much how I look at the front of the turret. But yeah, overall, this thing's armor, don't rely on it unless you're hull down. Hull down is the only time I would ever rely on this tank's armor. But yeah, now I have time to actually get into the actual gameplay itself. So I've already got one kill in the form of a T-34. There's a KV-1S right there. Get really lucky to hit him on the move. I'll get into why that's really lucky in a wee minute. The KV-1 has been stunned, and I'm pretty confident I'll be able to roll around this corner, take a shot into him, and basically get forward and out of the range of tank destroyers before I take much damage. But I get shot in the face by a KV-1S and by the death poster in the background. So well, like, I just got eradicated by, let's see, T-25AT. Get a shot into the Type T-34, but I think the death toasters either start falling back or I actually think he just shot the poodle there instead of shooting me. He tries one more shot, but he misses, and as a result of that shot, he gets spotted, and I think he dies relatively soon after this. So now moving forward, that was unbelievably lucky to hit that guy on the move at that sort of range with this gun, because, well, this gun, you can't use a vertical stabilizer, and that is hugely, like, that is massively impacting on like how effective this thing can be at range, and just when turn the turret, turn the hull, everything. Like, when it comes to vertical stabilizer versus gun lane drive, vertical stabilizer wins every time, because it's just so much more effective at reducing the gun bloom whenever you fire the gun, whenever you're using like gun just in general, whenever you're like turn the turret, stuff like that. Meanwhile, the gun lane drive, as far as I'm aware, only affects the gun aiming time whenever you're sitting completely still. And yeah, it's just like it's not as versatile as the vertical stabilizer. The vertical stabilizer just as a whole is so much more reliable. And it's kind of a shame this thing can't use one, because I feel like that would probably make this tank almost perfect, but I feel like that's the reason it doesn't have a vertical stabilizer. So yeah. So now moving forward, trying to get a shot into this SU-100 because, well, he has a 122mm gun. He's pretty dangerous. I try a shot on him and miss, and I actually bounced a shot from the OI, and that was exceptionally lucky because the OI, if you don't know, has a 120 pen, 150mm gun. SU-100 gets a huge shot into me, but back to the OI. He gets a 120 pen AP round on the 700 Alpha gun. That shot could have decimated me. I could have been dead right now if that shot from the OI had penned, and there's a good chance he could have penned too, because this thing only having 100 front armor, it's a 50-50 with a 120 pen gun, whether or not you're going to pen it if it's not angled. And the side armor, it's very, very fiddly, like how exactly to angle the side armor on the Tiger 1 to actually get the most out of it. And take a quick snapshot into the OI, get a penetration into him, and fall back behind cover. I have to wait until he's looking away. If he's looking at me, I'm not going to pull out, because that's just not a good idea, because I will die very quickly. Roll out around the corner, take a shot into the back of his turret, because I'm pretty sure they nerfed the armor on the turret on that tank, because it was just too goddamn strong to kill for pretty much every tank that it could really meet at the same tier. So yeah, so that's pretty much the game. This tank would be pretty much perfect if it had a vertical stabilizer. It would just be fragile, but it would have a gun that's incredibly consistent and just in general devastating with its rate of fire. I believe mine has a sub 6-second reload with a rammer, gun lane drive, and 100% crew. So yeah, this thing can be an absolute monster, but yeah, I wouldn't recommend using vents on this thing, because I don't think the view range, the base view range is good enough to actually, I don't think the base view range is good enough to skip out on the binoculars, because the binoculars, I think that's what makes you versatile in a bottom tier scenario. That's the reason I always carry binoculars in my T29 and in the Tiger 1, because that just allows you that little bit of extra flexibility whenever you're bottom tier, because whenever you're bottom tier, you want to try and give yourself some space to fall back whenever you're going to be facing tanks that are superior to you in most aspects. So that's my general thinking on like why I use binoculars on this thing instead of other things. It all comes down to whenever you come bottom tier. Whenever you come bottom tier, you need that little bit of extra versatility, at least in my opinion. So yeah. Let's see, anything else I really need to mention? Not really too much I need to mention actually, so let's go into the post-game stats. Okay, and we're back with the result screens. So this game was worth an ace tanker of 1,237 base XP, high caliber, and there was actually something I forgot to mention. I don't think I mentioned it in the actual replay itself, the replay commentary itself, sorry. I was actually going for a mission in that game for heavy tank number 6 for the Object 260, where I need to kill 5 heavies or mediums. And thankfully I actually managed to achieve it in that game, because trying to do it in higher tiered heavy tanks really was not working for me. I had one where I got really close. I was in, I think, my IS-4. I had one tank left to kill. There was a tank on, I think, 380 health. I had low roll, did 360 damage, and somebody else killed them, and I was just like that took so long to get, and then I just ended up just giving up and just banning a Tiger 1 while it was on sale for 30% off, because I was just like, you know what, this is stupid, and just went out and bought the Tiger 1 because rate of fire. So yeah, let's go on to the team scores. Top of the team, 2800 damage, 1237 base XP, as I said before, and weirdly, actually looking at the enemy team, the OI on the enemy team did the highest damage by by nearly 800. Holy crap! The OI had a bit of a monster game. I think they may have won if I hadn't been on this team. Huh. I actually didn't notice that the first time I looked at these results. Huh. pretty impressive game from that guy. But in my team, something interesting happened. All three of the tier 7s in a top tier game came in the top 3. That is something you do not see very often, but I suppose it makes sense for it to happen in a tier 7 game rather than any other tier. So yeah, let's go on to the detailed report. So 16 shots fired, 13 direct hits, 13 penetrations, 1240 damage blocked by armor, 940 damage by my assistants, and made 20,380 crits. So yeah, overall that was a pretty decent game in my opinion. Glad I got that mission completed because it was really annoying. But yeah, like pretty decent game just in general. Not really too much to have to say. Although I do think that was a pretty low bar for an ace tanker. I think in the past I remember it being over 1400 base XP to get an ace in the Tiger one, but I think this may have just been a lucky time of the time in the month or something like that there in order to get the ace tanker in this tank. So yeah, I think that's pretty much everything I really need to go over, but I'm probably going to do another video a little later on the new French heavies and stuff I got there, and the Martinations and stuff. So yeah, I look forward to that, and thanks for watching. I will see you in the next one.